Go ahead. Make my day.
You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I mean, what kind of guy has dolphins for pets?
It'd be a privilege to have my heart broken by you.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
That wasn't flying. That was falling with style.
Using his vast knowledge of history and politics, we start our day off right with motivational speaker Richard Battle.
Love having him come on the program. He is Richard Battle. He wrote the book, AmeriCANS, Who Made America, 18th Century Birth of the Republic. We talk a ton about it. We'll do so today. Richard, thanks for being here.
Good morning, Al. Thank you so much for having us bat lead off today.
I don't know if it's too much inside baseball for folks, but I'd like to share. So Richard and I, well, we met 4 or 5 books ago. You're kind of a prolific writer, different genres. I like that. But you're my most interesting guest. And now you're the first guest, so it isn't as much pressure to get started. You know, other guests, for folks who don't know, that if you want to join on the Facebook page, go to the Al Travis Facebook page. You can hit the link, and you can join Richard and I as we tape this radio segment. What's interesting is almost everyone else gets that 4 minutes or so when the news is on and they get it. But because it's Wednesdays and because you're who you are, we get a little 5-10 minute catch-up time every Wednesday, and I just love it. It isn't a rush. You come in early, you sit out and chat, and I just absolutely love it. Is that who you are? Always early? I don't mean that a bad way. I love it. That's why.
Our conversations are very interesting and would make interesting radio outtakes or different things.
I just find, guys, that you were in sales. I did sales. You ran businesses. If you're not early, you're late. Is that the? Yes. I mean, that's the way I've always been. I back in the sales days would drive to a town I've not been to. Got to make a meeting. I will go a half hour early. Buzz by the place I got to go. Know that's where it's at, and then go to Quick Trip, get a pop or something. But it filled the time. I would always do that. I just love our little before radio. Appreciate you coming here, my friend. You wrote AmeriCANS, Who Made America, 18th Century Birth of the Republic. I don't think we're giving anything up. This is the first, and it's a beaut of a set that's coming. How close are we? We sniffing number 2?
Well, the 19th century version is targeted for June 10th release.
Oh, wow, good. Okay, then it's
we'll
coming.
Have cover art to start showing shortly.
See, this is the sort of stuff, if you just listen every week, you'll get into it with me, especially with Mr. Battle. He shares this process as we go along. Like I say, this is your 4th or 5th book with us since we've been chatting with you. And this is, I can't say it's, it's my favorite of your books for one reason, in that I'm just a history guy. But your Unopened Present, which we haven't talked about for forever, is probably the most life-changing book I've ever read. So, I mean, you've got a lot of depth there. We're in the middle of it. We're in the midst of it, the 250th anniversary of all that made this country great, and we're going to talk about some of that today.
Well, we wanted to talk about perseverance and then use the founders as some of the examples, because that's one of the reasons why history is so important. And the way I say it is, smart people learn from their experience, but brilliant people learn from the experience of others. And we can learn from those who came before us without having to get our knuckles wrapped, learning from our own experience. And it makes it much easier. Plus, it makes the history more fun, and it gives us a better attitude of gratitude about what we've been given in life and our responsibility to perpetuate it to the next generation.
Well, and what I don't think most folks get, until you start reading Mr. Battle's books, is everybody thinks they have hard times, right? I mean, we believe we're in the hardest times, yada, yada. But if you can put yourself in 1776 or in that era and think about it, for forever in the world history, someone was lord and king over the next guy, and that's just the way life was. And you dealt with it, and they gave a tax in your tea, whatever. And something clicked in these fellas that said, not anymore. This isn't the way this works. This isn't how it should work. And they put everything on the line. And you can say that, but you don't understand it. They put everything on the line to create what we've got, where we can complain now if the internet goes down for 15 minutes.
Well, yes, and not only they put everything on the line, but tying that in with a perseverance, the issue really came up in 1765 with the Stamp Act for the tax, if you will, and it did not become resolved until 1783. So they stayed with it for 18 years. Now, it took 10 years before the first shots were fired. And then 8 years after that of hard war, sacrifice, loss, deprivation, so many things that they did and persevered through before they won independence for us. And that to me is the big lesson, that if they would have given up, we wouldn't have what we have now, but they persevered until victory. And it's a great illustration to us that in our things that we have come up in work, family life, etc., perseverance is the key.
Well, let's go with this, like comparing today to 1776 and those times. This country's probably split 50-50. I think a lot of people guess we're pretty close to that. And so half the people you meet are on your side. Back in those days, if I'm not mistaken, tell me I'm wrong, only about a third of Americans were willing to do what it took to make America, right? I mean, the other third probably didn't care. They're just going to try to put their head down and feed the cows. And then the other third were still with the king, right? I mean, this was not a majority rules. Well, we got 50, we'll make this happen. This took real people with real courage to stand up to 2/3 of the people that literally their next door neighbors and say, no, this is this important to us.
Well, and it just goes to show that if you want things to be the way you would like them, there's a responsibility and a duty to participate in making them so at some level. And if you stand back and just feed the cows, to use your technical expression,
I'm a man of words. I'm a man of words, feeding the cows. But they called them the dark times, right? I mean, and they really were dark times then. I mean, this was win or go home. If they didn't win this, it would have been a crush. This, right? We'd be all speaking English. Well,
we'd be speaking the King's English. And, Thomas Paine's eloquent, famous line during that time, these are the times that try men's souls. And I think there's times that can be described like that throughout history, using that same term. But that showed how they were. And the thing that's amazing to me is the character of those people. And they did it not only for themselves, and as John Adams said, they did it, they fought and got the independence so that their children wouldn't have to. So they lived for generations beyond themselves, going through the hard times and the perseverance. Yeah,
I think that is probably one of the lessons I got out of what we chatted about, is that they weren't doing it to make their lives easier. Some of these people didn't survive it, let alone have any money when it was all over. They put everything on the line, but it was for the next generations. It seems weird to me, bring it back to America today, where we've come, where we've put $36 trillion in debt to our children and grandchildren, that I don't know that they're going to have a better lives than we had. This is that first generation. How do you use to motivate folks to get back to doing what's right? Like the Patriots would have. We're sitting here, right, wrong, whatever you think we're sitting. How do you get that attitude, that perseverance? We got to do something.
An expression I use is principle over power and honor over ambition. And what we see today in politicians, and you can see it on people on both sides, is you see no principle. You see them just grab power any way they can. You see no honor. You see nothing but ambition of getting the next rung on the ladder, no matter who you have to climb over. And that's not something that we should show our children and grandchildren as examples. If we live with principle and honor, generations behind us will live with principle and honor. If we are power grabbers and ambitious people, our children and grandchildren will be more so.
Love that. In reading what you're going to chat about today, you had it. I'm going to ask you to look it up for me. Something about a river and a rock and perseverance. I thought it was like the greatest quote. It was visual. It makes me think, hey, I think we think now everything happens in 4-year cycles. My president, your president, my president. We've got to talk about it on the other side. Fair enough? You know what I'm talking about? You're shaking your head. You know what I'm talking about? I think that was just the greatest quote. We'll talk about it coming up with Richard Battle on the Al Travis Show.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease! It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Do you have a closet full of old videos, photos, slides, or films? Regain that space and preserve those memories for future generations. Visit archivinglifemedia.com or call 952-829-8018. See how safe and simple it is to digitize all your media. Gain peace of mind knowing that all those important memories will be saved and can be seen and shared again. Do it today. Check out archivinglifemedia.com or give them a call, 952-829-8018.
Amongst friends, the Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
Of course, we've got him, Richard Battle, on the program with us. He wrote AmeriCANS, Who Made America, 18th Century Birth of the Republic. Talked a little bit about George Washington there. He had a lot of perseverance quotes. He was all about the persevering and hanging in there, right?
Well, he illustrated it. And if he had not been as persistent as he was, again, we would not have won. He carried the country on his shoulders. And David McCullough, who's written many books, but in 1776, he had a extended quote about Washington's perseverance, not giving up, controlling how we behave, deserving of success, and how we can learn from Washington and use that to make our lives better as well. And crossing the Delaware, which we'll talk about again when December comes around, was the turning point of the revolution because of his perseverance up to that point.
Gotcha. What was the rock and the stone in the river quote that I read? It hit me, and it's just my problem in my brain. I don't remember it. I just know that I see the visual. It's all about perseverance. I love this quote. I got to memorize it.
Well, H. Jackson Brown Jr. said, in the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins. Not through strength, but through perseverance. And so you think about a stream cutting a river channel, and it is through that perseverance that it happens. And in this AmeriCANS, Who Made America, I have over 258 quotes of the 40 people that we profile, because I wanted to make young people learn and have this come alive for them of these people in their own words. But I've written it as a tool for teachers and leaders and speakers, people who want to learn and use these things to help and teach and lead others.
Yeah. As soon as I read that line, the first thing that came to mind was a Grand Canyon. You get there, it's like, how could this happen? Well, because of perseverance, you're just constantly doing what you're supposed to do when you do it, and it made the Grand Canyon. I love that line. H. Jackson Brown Jr., give us a quick background on him if you can.
I can't give you enough background to make a difference. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fair enough, fair enough. But that's the line, though, that hit me, and it just stuck with me, and I'm like, wow, that's what a guy's got to go. And that's kind of where we're at now, right? I mean, that's why we kind of bring this through. Who was it? The guy who invented the light bulb, right?
Well, Edison.
He was only, I only got one right. I got like 3,000 wrong, but he just kept hanging there, whatever the numbers were that he did. He was that guy, right?
Well, yes. And he said, many of the failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Yeah.
And how often, and I think about the things in my life that I regret, and it's things that I gave up on.
Yeah.
And if I would have stuck to it, and if I would have had somebody helping me, an adult when I was younger, helping me to see that and see the long-term implications better, I would have done better. And that's another reason why this is so important, because we as parents, grandparents, leaders of young people have an opportunity to help them see a longer-term vision than the problem of the moment.
I think anybody who's had a child struggle in math or reading, whatever, when they're young, you can give up on them, and then they'll always have that problem. But if you stick, I had one son who had an issue with math. I loved math, and it was this matter of, guess what? Every day, we're going to sit down, we're going to beat this down, we're going to beat this down, and we'll beat this down, and it'll be tough, and every day it gets a little easier until you graduates college here coming up. You can't stop. I told my wife and I, we just can't stop. You're going to have to sit down every day and do it until you can do it.
Well, one of the funniest things, I have a 26-year-old daughter, I've told you before, and this last weekend she was telling me how she was now using, with people coming behind her, the lesson I taught her about how the mouse eats the elephant, one bite at a time. And so now she's taking that lesson and projecting it on, and that's when you know you've reached somebody. But that's part of this continuation of life. We were given these things. We need to remember that other people don't learn by osmosis necessarily, and we can impact people's lives.
I absolutely love that, my friend. I love this book. I want people to get it. I presume when the new one comes out, you get a 2-book set, but get this one now. AmeriCANS, Who Made America, 18th Century Birth of the Republic. If you like what Richard's talking about, taking this history and bringing it forward with us and how we can make things better, get the books, learn from it. Like I say, how many quotes in there? You got a ton of quotes in here from all these guys.
Well, this volume's 258. The next volume will be over 300. So.
And I'm quizzing him. What did that guy do? Okay, that was wrong. How do I get the book? How do I get it signed? Because I'm telling you right now, get them signed. It's that book will be priceless to your family.
Well, on the website, richardbattle.com, all books are signed. If you'd like one inscribed for gift, birthday, graduations, email me, richard@richardbattle.com after you order. We're happy to do that and get great feedback from that. All 11 books are available at Amazon under my name, and including Kindle and audio versions as well.
Okay. Wow, and then you speak about graduations. That's what's coming up. This is a great graduation gift. I'm just sitting there now. I've got 3 of them I got to go to. I'm going to be ordering 3 of these. These are great graduation books. Pick them up, get them signed. That's fantastic.
Who's in school that has a lesson, if they're in high school or college and they've got to do a lesson or a speech about somebody, this is a great resource that they can pull from to fulfill that lesson.
I love that. It's a great book. Order yours today. Richard, I love having you in your program, my friend. Let's do it again next week.
Always my pleasure. God bless America.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue